is going on, mi gente? Let me just check that this is all live and unrestricted, people. Just the way it ought to be. Un momentico. Let me just see. Hokarai. What's going on? Oh. Oh, is that... Wait there, did I just hear the sound? I see the sound is messing up. See, this is why it's important. One moment. What if I... No, that's pretty bad. Let me just check. What if I... No, that's pretty bad. Let's check. But if I put it back like this, will that... Let me just... But if I put it back like this, has that fixed it? Let me just see. This is what you buy when you buy your computer from Alum Rock. Oof, if you knew the story behind this laptop. Is that better? Frowdy frubbery? What is going on? Let me just... Oof, if you knew the story behind this laptop. Frowdy frubbery. That's it. Anybody misbehaving? If you knew the story behind this laptop. Frowdy frubbery. That's it. Anybody misbehaving? So I take it there was a little echo there because I had that on. I'm just wondering if that echo has now gone and if it's all good. Okay. I wonder whether my admin are are awake to tell me so. Yeah. Truth is, I need a more alert admin team. Right, so what is going on? Has the echo now ended? Is it all good now? Yes or no? People? Alright, awesome. That's what I wanted to hear. People, Facebook, YouTube, mi gente. Right, with that, inna alhamdulillah wa kafah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulih al-Mustafa, wa ala ibadihi alladhina irtada, wa man bihudahum ihtada, wa bi'athari ahli al-Madinah iqtafa, wa ba'd. فالسلام الله على القوم أهلا وسهلا بكم ومرحبا Qarnayn, Layth, bienvenidos a todos, بخير راغلي, خوش آمدید, and swagatam people. Echo gone. You see? And like that, it has been decreed. Alright, can you talk about studying Dars-e-Nizami? First, धीरज रखियो सरकार, धीरज रखियो. जरा صبرا جميلا, صبرا في مجال الموت, صبرا فما نيل الخلود بمستطاع. Allah. Right, so those of you that have just tuned in, people, remember first to subscribe to all my different kind of channels there. As you can see, Facebook, Insta, And those of you that don't know, we've got some Allahu Akbar. People, this week, we hit it. Allah, 10,000 subscribers. A small step, but kya kare, banda na cheez. I mean, I know for some people that's nothing, but you know, hum faqiron haqiron ke liye. No, I'm grateful for all of your love, people. Mwah. In the words of the poet, मैं अकेला ही चला था जानिबे मंजिल मगर लोग साथ आते गए और कारवां बनता गया. Oof. He says, I set out on this journey of mine all alone. It's the people that joined me along the way, and this became a caravan. Allah, 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 Allah. So people do get involved, participate. Sharikuni fi hadha. This is the place where shirk is encouraged. It's Allah where you don't do shirk. Here you do. You subscribe. And on Facebook I've set this up as well to become more active, inshallah ta'ala, people, inshallah ta'ala. Right, but for now, let's take a look at what is bothering mi gente. Look at this. Some people, wah. We support you, sir, but not shirk. You support this kind of shirk, yet shirk means to kind of participate. This kind of participation is all good. Participate, people, participate. So he told him if he don't stop, he will beat him. Mufti, much love from you, from Houston, Texas. Houston, we have a problem. Allah, could you please explain Surah Saffat? Allah describes the planets or stars as a protection. I have explained this previously. You can check that out. Mufti, you're gone too far, brother. You're gone too far. I gone too far. See, that's my problem in life. You know, whenever I realize bahut der ho chuki hai, it's too late, you know. Now it's too late, you know. You cannot retreat, you know. No withdrawal. No pull out the situation, you know. It's too late now. Now it's just this one, just CSA, you know. Crime scene or child support, I do not know, you know. Awais says, Mufti, I love you. Right back at you, yeah. Geo Meri Jaan, Geo. But my classmates hate you. Shall I tell you this? I'm going to tell you, this, people, is my kind of the dynamics I face in life. It's what I call the Marmite effect, from Marmite. I either find people who really love me, or I find people who really hate me. Yaar, this ummatan wasatan is a missing link. I don't know where the ummatan wasatan has gone. Maybe yatihuna arba'ina sana. They've walked the path of the Israelites, lost in the wilderness for 40 years. I don't know, people, either they're on this extreme or on this extreme. Chalo, chalta hai yaar, chalta hai. See, for those who support me, who love me, much love right back at you. And those who hate me, they only motivate me, people. You see, it doesn't bother me, the kind of hate and things like this. I think, yaar, hona padta hai. You have to have a bit of this in life. had to try out today. I thought, let me try out some qahwa, some coffee with coconut milk. You know, this one, a bit variation, you know, this one. Ah, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Mufti, why do you give ex-Muslims time who then twist your words and manipulate them like Vidu and Harris? Right, I tell you what, let's share a few words on this. Look, I actually encourage this. Just one moment. Whilst I'm doing this, I'm going to try to set up that I can... un momento. Right, I'm just... trying to see if I can... I can't. My IT skills may be, you know, okay, but not all that yet. Well, you know, on that note, I'd like to say that people who want to get involved and have certain skill sets, he's ignoring, Hassan Ditta says he's ignoring Facebook. Abe, yaar, I'm not ignoring, but I'm just trying to figure out, it's a bit tricky. Nevertheless, those of you that have some skill sets and you're happy to kind of assist me, or want to be a part of my kind of project and my stuff, and reach out to me, inshallah. Let's see, why not? The more the merrier on this journey of ours. But right, it's just that the Facebook comments seem to be kind of freezing. So they're coming, but they kind of like, they freeze and then come all of a sudden at once. So it's Huzaifa Hamirani has asked, who is your tailor? Tailor! Come on, there's bigger things to worry about than who's my tailor. Right, now, I want to speak about this, somebody's asked about Haris Sultan or Vidu Vids, or why do I show these people respect, or... Look, I want to say something. I encourage each and all to be genuine in their journey of life, to pursue what they feel is going to give meaning to their life, okay? Now, to some people, they, along the way, may not feel that Islam is for them. I mean, although theologically, I feel that Islam does stand the test of time. I feel that it does stand up to any critique or criticism. And on some things, there are nuances where we have to, I feel, we have to reevaluate maybe certain narratives that we have. But I do feel overall Islam does stand the test of time. Maybe not certain manifestations of it, but the deen in and of itself. But there will be people along the way that will disagree with us, and there will be a divergence in our path. But we are still all insan. We are Bani Adam. We are here to discuss. We are here to walk this journey of ours on our own. Okay? And I respect that. I respect that a person can actually think about something, that they can actually examine something, because not most, but many, there are many atheists that I've met. I mean, I haven't met thousands and thousands that I've discussed with, but I've met a certain amount of people that I've had some good, deep dialogical discussions with. And in all honesty, many of them have considered and thought about God and religion much more than most religious folk. And that's, in my experience, like, they actually take it very seriously. This is the problem with them, that they take it far too seriously. But I respect that. I respect the courage it takes to make a decision, even if that decision is to part ways with this faith. Because look, the Quran is not in need, or Islam is not in need of anybody's faith. The Quran actually says, man sha'a falyu'min, man sha'a falyakfur. You know, if you want to believe, believe. If you want to disbelieve, disbelieve. This is the Quran. So we should still, in my understanding, have, and you don't need to, I don't think you need to, I'm not saying everybody must do this, but if you, let's say, do get on with somebody from a human perspective, I think you should. And you should have, you know, that kind of, you should have a friendly bridge to each and all, regardless of their differences. And as human beings, you can get on. Do you think everybody around the Prophet was Muslim? I mean, you're mistaken ridiculously if that's what you think. Because they weren't. They were not Muslim. Okay? In fact, even in the final hours, in the final days of the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he needed staple food, he needed wheat, and he needed raw food products to sustain his family. Who did he take it from? Who did he leave as a in Lur, his shield? He kind of pawned his shield in place for this food. It wasn't the Muslims, it was a Jewish trader. I mean, we're mistaken where we think that the Muslims were so, you know, we have this understanding that Islam came and everybody was just Muslim. That is so far from the truth. Even in the Prophet's lifetime, I don't think the majority, forget the majority of Arabia, the majority of the people of Medina and things like this may not have been Muslim. And that's understandable, because when you think about it, how many people did Hijrah from Mecca? How many people did Hijrah? A few hundred. That's it, really. You know, what do you think? Like 10,000 people got up and left? No, they didn't. And in Medina, how many people do you think embraced Islam? I'm sure they did in the hundreds. But that's it. They weren't like hundreds of thousands. And they say at the end of the Prophet's life, people say in some narrations that all Muslims that could attend the pilgrimage attended, and they were 100,000, they say. And that's from the whole of Arabia, coming from as far down as Arabia Felix, which is Yemen, coming up from that, right up from there to the northern Arabian, which is Arabia Petrea, right, according to the Roman kind of maps, or Arabia Deserta, which is the Hijaz and all of these parts. And you're considering from a population of Arabs that, if you consider the Middle East as well, probably 10 million Arabs, out of whom 100,000 come to the Hajj. 100,000 is a lot, but it's nothing when you're looking at 10 million. And even if you double the number to say that half of those people stayed at home, and you triple it to say, well, they could have had little children, it's still 300,000. Even if you stretch it to 400,000 out of 10 million. It's not a... So I think we live in like a cuckoo kind of universe where we think like everybody just saw the Prophet and embraced Islam, and everybody sung, you know, they and all the companions, and whoever met the companions joined hands, and they all you know, kind of kumbaya, my lord. It was nothing like that. They were the Muslims for a few centuries were always a minority. They may have been a dominating minority in certain parts of the world. So even when Bani Umayyah were ruling the Middle East and the Abbasids after them, they were a dominating minority and they were a powerful kind of minority, but they weren't. Just one moment. What's happened here? Give me a moment. One moment, people. I think this. Just give me un momento. Right, people, un momento, I'm back. Sorry about that. I just, one thing, I had this little drink here and it's kind of spilt and I was a bit worried it was, it spilt over the actual laptop, but no it hadn't. It's fine. Cool. Alright, so, back to where I was. Right, so, yeah, so I mean, I want to add to that. So we sometimes live in this kind of cuckoo world that we think that everybody was always so, everybody was just Muslim, and it wasn't like that at all. So coming back to Haris Sultan, I wanted to say actually, because somebody reminded me, look, first of all, we should be secure about our faith. I want to be very clear on that. If somebody challenges Islam, they don't intimidate my faith. Okay, I want to be absolute, and I do disagree with the way that certain people, with the way sometimes certain people do respond. Like there was the case of Junaid Hafiz, which I spoke about, where the apostate, if he was an apostate, he's sentenced to the blasphemy laws in Pakistan, and I've got a video on that, do check it out. But I wanted to highlight that regarding that, I know I did see several people sent me a post of Abdullah Gondal, who I have a friendly relationship with. And I did read the post, and it was a very kind of angry post following on from the Junaid Hafiz case, and it was kind of F this, F that, F God, F the Prophet, all this kind of stuff. And obviously, I don't like that, just as any Muslim wouldn't like it, but right, and several people kind of sent this to me, and they said like, oh, what the hell, and people were kind of, and then he'd said on there that, look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tear out pages of the Quran and I'm gonna smoke them up I'm gonna roll them up as a joint and smoke them, smoke the joint on live or something. Now, this kind of stuff. Now, obviously, I don't think he was going to do something like that, but it's saying this kind of stuff, right? Saying this kind of stuff is obviously, so toxic and so kind of radioactive, because it really harms the cause of apostates or of ex-Muslims or of atheists or people like this, because I can understand the frustration. I can understand, because I've got a video myself condemning the Pakistani blasphemy laws and saying that Junaid Hafiz, it is ridiculous and unacceptable by Islam what they are doing to him. And this, you know, it is an affront to Allah and His Messenger that in His name they are conducting these kind of tyrannies. But this kind of stuff in turn obviously aggravates Muslims. And it really, so I do condemn that kind of speech, that kind of rhetoric, that kind of provocative style of saying, look, I'm going to burn the Quran, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Personally, look, if a person wants to burn the Quran, I've got a video on this with the Norway Quran burnings. And I've said that as Muslims, you know, if somebody wants to burn the Quran, if anything, I kind of like pity their naivety and stupidity. Because, I mean, do you really think you're causing harm to the Quran? The Quran isn't being harmed by your, you know, faith is, you know, it's mastaqarra fil qalb, you know. And the thing is that it's not, this isn't like that. By you burning a mushaf, you know, there's a mushaf here. If somebody burnt this mushaf, I mean, I think it's completely unhumane to do something like that. But if somebody burnt it, if anything, I laugh at their stupidity. Because do you think that that's going to, by burning paper, you will eradicate faith from the hearts of the believers? That's not how faith works, or it's not how it ought to work. And should I kind of come and beat you up for burning paper? No, I shouldn't. I should not. If anything, I should just, I should find it amusing how dumb you are. That you actually think that that is harming the faith of Islam. It isn't. So, yeah, but I mean, so I do condemn, look, I agree, I condemn things that are wrong, but having free ideas, free thoughts, to be fair, I don't know, I don't monitor that closely people like these ex-Muslims, Haris Sultan, or the people video vids, but I do watch a few of their things. I am in touch with them on and off. The things I have seen from Haris Sultan, I haven't actually seen him being that, I haven't seen him being that kind of disrespectful, as in saying F God, F the Prophet, I haven't seen that kind of stuff. Whether he does it or not, he is not answerable to me, but I haven't seen that. From what I've seen is he critiques Islam, and he's free to do so. It's his choice. And I want to say that this reminds me, I saw a video that was circulated, and there were about 2 or 3 videos, yeah. So in this video, they were really there were obviously some Pakistanis, and they were really offended by his channel, Pakistani Mulhid, the Pakistani apostate and atheist. And they said that, so they dedicate this whole video swearing at him. Just like, you know, you MF, you know, your mum. And one of the videos is dedicated, a huge portion, just at his mum. Just saying his mum is the biggest whore there is, his mum is like this, his mum had 1,000 men in one day, or his mum had this, you know, where is your dignity? Like, is this how you defend Islam? That you, and I watched this and I was like, oh my God, this is disgusting. How can, I understand that you're offended, he's critiquing Islam, but to react in this way by saying, and then they had his sister, and they had photographs of his sister saying, look, this is what his sister looks like, you know, oh, I want to do this to her, I want to do that to her, oh, we want to rape her, we should all get together and rape his sister. And what is wrong with people? Honestly, I thought, what is seriously wrong with these people? Do they think they're doing God a favor? You know, this is where Allah says in the Quran, يَمُنُّونَ عَلَيْكَ أَنْ أَسْلَمُوا. You know, these people, they think they're doing a favor upon you by being Muslim, upon the Prophet. They're not. It is an insult to the Prophet to kind of say, and the irony is, this guy, Haris Sultan, his mum and sister are actually Muslim. This is like so, oh my God, they're actually Muslim. They're not ex-Muslim. And they just non-stop going at these people like, oh my God, this whole thing dedicated at let's, you know, everybody, we should screw his female family members. It's like, wow, like this stuff, I find it so degrading. I find it, honestly, I find it hurtful to see this, that, okay, disagree with the guy, even if he is sarcastic towards Islam, be sarcastic towards him. You know, fine, be sarcastic towards him. I don't care. Or I think that I'm sarcastic towards many people. But I think there's standards, you know, there's ethics, you know, this Islam, yaar. This is not, honestly, ya salam, ya salam. See, wow, that's all I have to say, honestly, wow. This is really deeply, so, yeah, so, I mean, I just want to put that out there, that don't support things like that, support critiques, meet ideas with ideas. If somebody comes, challenges your ideas, meet them with strength, meet them with concepts, meet them with eloquence, meet them, but don't kind of, you know, F this and F is this and let's all get, and you know something, I want to mention something, you know, a while back I was chatting with one of my atheist friends from the gym, from the gym. He works there. We have a lot of some you know, sometimes we have these vampire kind of dialogues. So it's interesting how he pointed out to me. He's a white guy. He said to me that, have you noticed that whenever there's a video of like, let's say somebody who's either criticizing Islam, or he could be an Islamophobe, like let's say Britain First, or they're clearly racist, or they're clearly Islamophobic, let's say they are, you know, no benefit of the doubt, let's just go in that you've got some people who do hate Islam, and they're always scaring people. He said, have you noticed in the comments on the videos, so many Muslims are always just saying, oh, let's rape her, let's rape her. Like, you know, this woman needs to be raped by so many men. He said, like, have you noticed, like, that Muslims seem to be the only people that seem to make, like, in abundance, so many comments like that. That everybody, and I just find that so ironic that we as a faith, as a deen that is meant to kind of honor women, that says that, you know, the Prophet taught things like al-Jannah tahta aqdam al-ummahat, that this is where Jannah is, that in comments and things like this, whenever we get aggressive, the first thing we threaten is, let's rape all their women. I mean, what the hell is wrong with people? So, yeah, I do find it very disappointing, disheartening, embarrassing as a Muslim to see so many Muslims, and it's not all Muslims, but there are, unfortunately, a very noisy few that seem to appear to represent. But yeah, so I just wanted to put that out there. Right, okay, cool. Let's take some of these questions. Somebody's asking, Mufti, what's your opinion on G.A. Pervez? Who's G.A.? G.I. Joe? G.I. Joe, people, G.I. Joe. Let's see what is going on. On that note, let me see. Have we got a...
उलझ करके तेरी जुल्फों में यूं आबाद हो जाऊं कि जैसे लखनऊ का मैं अमीनाबाद हो जाऊं मैं जमुना की तरह तन्हा निहारूं ताज को कब तक मैं जमुना की तरह तन्हा निहारूं ताज को कब तक कोई गंगा मिले तो मैं इलाहाबाद हो जाऊं गजल कहने लगा हूं मैं जरा सा मुस्कुरा तो दो यही तो चाहती थी तुम कि मैं बर्बाद हो जाऊं
वाह 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 कोई गंगा मिले तो मैं इलाहाबाद हो जाऊं अल्लाह 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 मेरी गंगा है कहाँ यार right so people let me bring up the my Facebook gente are saying that yeah people's where is the Facebook comments I'm just waiting for them to don't know what it is with some of these oh there they are I'm seeing them alright which Arabic poets can you read one for us somebody said can you read a poem for us okay let's shall we take one of Ghalib ji's Chacha Ghalib huh you know what it is Ghalib oof हैं और भी दुनिया में सुखनवर बहुत अच्छे कहते हैं कि गालिब का है अंदाज़े बयां see there's many an awesome poet in this world people but they say Ghalib had a style of his own Allah 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 he has an amazing one where he says कोई सूरत नजर नहीं आती कोई उम्मीद भर नहीं आती that no hope of mine seems to be fulfilled I can't seem like there's no vision comes to mind that मौत एक दिन मुअय्यन है नींद रात भर क्यों नहीं आती that even though death has a set date why is it that I can't fall asleep at night and this is actually quite fascinating because the thought of death it robs people of their peace of mind there was an amazing comic sketch I read a little while back where the kid sitting there with his pet dog and they're having a conversation I've forgotten it'll come to me the name of it's a famous comic but and he says you know he says someday we all have to die and I think it's the dog that responds by saying yeah but every other day we don't Allah 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 you have to love the positivity people that's what I'm talking about so he says मौत का एक दिन मुअय्यन है नींद रात भर क्यों नहीं आती पहले तो आती थी हाले दिल पे हंसी अब किसी बात पर नहीं आती he says first I would laugh at this state of being in love but now I don't seem to find anything funny हम वहाँ हैं जहाँ से हमें कुछ अपनी खबर नहीं आती that we are there we're in such a state of mind where we don't even know what is happening to us we don't understand ourselves he says काबा किस मुंह से जाओगे गालिब शर्म तुमको मगर नहीं आती that with what face with what dignity will you be able to face the Kaaba Ghalib that how dare you want to go to the Kaaba शर्म तुमको मगर नहीं आती you have no shame oh Ghalib honestly I totally love I love Ghalib man I mean as well as the other poets Mir whether it's going to be Dagh Zawq especially the classics Momin Khan Momin these people I encourage people to really study if you can understand Urdu I encourage you to study poetry it will open up it will take you to another realm in their concepts you will find God. Allah. That's what I experience anyway. So, and it's amazing, and it'll expand your vocabulary, expand your experiences. There's an awesome couplet of Ghalib's where he says, you see, just to tell you that sitam is obviously like a kind of tyranny, like some kind of vicious act, aggression. And in Farsi, they would make the plural by adding ha at the end, or sitam ha. But if you're going to put it with another word, they say sitam hai. And in this couplet, he says sitam haye judai, that the suffering, the affliction of separation. Sitam haye judai. And arz is to be kind of exposed to that. So he says, Ghalib, he says, Na de nale ko itna tool Ghalib, mukhtasar likhte. Allah. He says, you know, that's enough, Ghalib. Don't, you know, this, like you're kind of airing your grievance. You're kind of saying out loud what you've suffered. You're complaining. You're whining. Don't. Allah, nah. He says, na de nala is like your kind of complaint. Nale ko itna tool. Tool is to stretch. It's an Arabic word. Na de nale ko itna tool Ghalib, mukhtasar likhte. Just write it briefly. That ke hasrat sanj hu. That I'm somebody who was kind of absorbed or subsumed by desire and consumed by. He was hasrat sanjhu arze sitam haye judai ka. That I was somebody just wretched with desire that was exposed to the affliction of separation. Just write it briefly like that. Let the people figure what they have to figure. Right, so, right now, let's move on. Mi gente, what is going on? What is going on? Who can deliver me? Yusuf Hamza says, who can deliver me butter chicken? Right, so there you go. All right, and he's got deleted. All right. Somebody's asking some questions here. What is your opinion about nasikh mansukh in the Quran? Is any of the verses abrogated or not? Please answer. Okay, this is an interesting question. I do accept the concept of abrogation, but I feel that there's a number of things I disagree and with people on it as well. So I do feel that rulings do change over time. As they change, they may outrule prior rulings. I agree with that as a concept, the concept of abrogation, just as each civilization is different to a civilization before it. So I'm fine with that. I disagree with, I think there's a lot of guesswork as well in how many verses are abrogated, what kind of things are abrogated. I think, what does abrogation mean? I would disagree maybe with some of this stuff. So people would feel that once something is abrogated, it has no lesson in it at all. But I disagree entirely. I feel that there's still so much relevance for even the abrogated verses in understanding that there was once a time like that. So if you take, for example, the verse of cutting the hands of the thief. Now, I would feel that that was abrogated and changed, and this change was mandated by the Sharia when the time came, as Abu al-Qasim al-Burzuli, the great Maliki scholar, he wrote and taught that in his time, which is about 800 years ago. So, about 600 years ago. He was in about the 800 Hijri. So now, the point of that is that the verse would still carry relevance in saying that these acts are serious acts. وَالسَّارِقُ وَالسَّارِقَةُ. that they are serious acts, that this matter needs to be taken into great consideration, that the public property must be protected at all times, that crimes must not go unpunished, that there must be justice, that the justice must not only exist but be seen to exist by the public. Okay, that nakalam min Allah, that sometimes that these can be as a deterrent, that Allah mentions these things. Now so there's many, that there was historicity to this verse, that the Quran was dealing with people's actual problems, and just the delivery, the method of the punishment is what has varied over time. So I do agree with abrogation. I just feel that maybe my way of looking at it might be slightly different. I also feel that these verses, several other verses went on with the day and age to become abrogated, which people may not agree with me, like things like capital punishment or cutting the hands of the thief and things like that. So okay, I hope that's of some help. Cool. What is going on, people? What is going on? On that note, let's take I will be today, I'll be taking a look at I'll be covering a bit of fiqh info, which is the school of Medina. I'll give a little insight into the Risala of Ibn Abi Zayd al-Qayrawani. There are actually a lot of people who have had an interest in the school of Medina. They want to learn about it, so I'll give a little bit of a background about that and go into his book a little later on. I also want to discuss later on about our beloved Sheikh Asrar Ji Sahib. damat wala zalat barakatuhu al-aliyah. That is, damat fuyuduhu. The Sheikh Asrar, the blessed, has discovered where the Ya'juj and Ma'juj are, people. Behold, I saw a pale horse, but in this case it wasn't a pale horse, it's a pale donkey on this mountain, and behold, behind it is the address, the GPS location. Want to go? Far. This is for the Ya'juj and Ma'juj, and our beloved Sheikh Asrar has found that. So I'd like to share some kind words. Banda na cheez, I'm not worthy, but I'd like to share some words on that a bit later on. So right, so that's going to be fascinating. But before we get on to that, people, right, so I want to say that the school of Medina, Maliki Madhab, is so awesome if understood correctly, because it is a school, an interpretation of this deen that comes from Medina itself, from the city of the Prophet. It is firmly rooted in the Sunnah, yet equally it has its other foot firmly placed in welfare, which as it changes, the rulings change. So, and this is pioneered, or the school existed from the time of the companions after the Prophet, but it becomes championed by the great Imam Malik, the Don of Medina, people, who obviously I follow as well. I'm Maliki, Mufti Abu Layth al-Maliki, people. But then there are some who despite ascribing to this madhab, Allah, in the words of Dagh Dehlavi, where he says, "Aise aane se to behtar tha, na ana tera." That rather than coming like this, it was better that you didn't come. So this, people, is what some people were sharing about Maliki fiqh. As you can see, I'll let you have a quick read in the Maliki fiqh groups. here we have somebody who visual storyteller, and this is rather visual. One must say that what many Malikis don't know about ghusl. Ghusl is the mandatory kind of ritual bath, okay, showering, is because dalk means a kind of rubbing over. So kind of like if I'm washing my hands, I'm wiping over. It doesn't actually mean rubbing, but unfortunately some people have considered it a kind of rubbing, but it's just a wiping over really. So dalk is a pillar of ghusl, pillar people, pillar. Visual. So the whole body must be physically washed. You have to squat, people, you have to squat, right, to be able to wash your back opening. Yeah, I've heard of a cognitive opening. What is this one? This back opening, you know, this back opening. The back opening. So you have to squat to be able to wash your back opening properly. If you do this standing, it makes the ghusl invalid. So here, people, our new Maliki recruit is this one. People don't judge, you see, because what he's actually doing is he's getting the back opening. So this, you know, like there's those Moroccan scholars, they were called Ghomari, but this guy is Ghomri. He's not Ghomari, he's Ghomri. So as you can see, this is a fine example of where you take something so awesome, like Ghomri he has done, and you, instead of showing it the awesome way it is, you turn it into something so ridiculous. So everybody can just mock. God, this is why we're suffering, people. This is why we're suffering. Because we're not getting to the back opening, you know, the back. Yeah, are you talking from the front opening or the back opening? What is this one? This one not nice, you know. This one. If you open the back opening too much, you know, the pillar. What language is this? A pillar and then the back opening. Somebody help this Ghomri. Give him, you know what, we'll pay for his therapy. Right. It's hilarious, people, it's hilarious. But this kind of stuff, it has to be. You know, people think, they say, Mufti, what? It's not me, it's the people. They do this kind of stuff. Let's take some questions. Mufti, why do you advocate scientism? Scientism? I don't advocate scientism. I advocate the voice of reason. I believe in God. God isn't proven by science, or neither disproven by science. So, I mean, I clearly am not advocating scientism. Yes, I advocate science, and I think you'd have to be dumb, stupid, and hopefully handicapped, because if you're handicapped, you've got an excuse. If you're not handicapped, then toba. So you see, science is obviously the way forward. It's always, you know, it's been the way forward. Let's just face it. Allah in the Quran tells us that look around, you know, that Allah says, He says, Siru fil ardi, why don't you traverse the earth? فَانْظُرُوا كَيْفَ بَدَأَ الْخَلْقِ. And then look how creation began. Allah doesn't say in the Quran, oh, let me tell you how creation began. It began, I got some clay and I did this and that was creation. He says, why don't you walk about in the earth and learn? Observe your environment. That is science. It is to observe your environment. People, we must, this is why I always advocate broadening your kind of horizons. Right now, I'm going through Yuval Harari's second book, Homo Deus. Wow, it is amazing. Sapiens was epic up there. But Homo Deus is definitely a sequel. I mean, it's amazing. It's, it's probably on a similar level to Sapiens. I found Sapiens a bit more powerful, but this is still it's incredible. But there's a point in there where he highlights, where he says that, look, human perception, right? Because, and I want you to think about this. He says for millennia, for thousands and thousands upon thousands of years, rabbis, priests, and then later imams, muftis, whoever, these kind of sages, they've all said to mankind for millennia that man alone cannot eradicate famine or plague. That man can maybe assist, but he alone cannot eradicate it. It will only and can only be done by God. But he makes an amazing point. He says that for thousands of years, this is what rabbis and priests and these kind of leaders told their religious leaders, shamans and all these people told their followers. And then along come bankers, investors, scientists, and within 100 to 200 years, they eliminate they eliminate famine, plagues. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Honestly, I love this kind of stuff. It really, and it's an eye-opener, because really what that ought to do is show us that maybe we've been misunderstanding as people. I mean, I don't understand religion like that, but people who have been understanding religion like that, maybe they need to re-examine and think, oh yeah. Along come bankers, investors, and scientists. Allah, Allah, Allah. So, can you just imagine, think about this, people. Imagine the world news was to be done from a pure theological perspective. Just imagine this. I mean, this would be absurd. None of us would accept this. Like, let's say this was the news. It was saying, oh, and a storm hit such and such. It wouldn't say, oh, a storm is coming this way, or it did this. Imagine it was to say, and God got angry and punished such and such people, and God was in the last quarter, God is unhappy with India, thereby reducing their GDP, and God is happy with China and has increased their GDP, and God has smiled on Northern Europe and increased the temperature thereby. Meanwhile, God seems to be upset with, let's say, parts of, I don't know, parts of Asia, and has caused certain storms and things. Can you imagine if this was the news? And today God has been pleased, and we can and thereby increased the stock market exchange that have taken place, whereas yesterday God was displeased and thereby caused the stock markets to crash. See, this would be crazy, because nobody would accept that. Would be like, what the hell are you saying? Because we know in this world there's cause and effect. It's not God doing it. There's people. God has allowed human beings to just exercise their intelligence. So, right. So, I mean, yeah, so I just wanted to say that's, I'm just trying to, science and God go hand in hand. Or science is simply the forces of nature which have been laid out by God. They're not about going hand in hand. They are just, it is just laws of nature that God has decreed. Right, what is your opinion on Javed Ghamidi Saab and engineer Muhammad Ali Mirza? Javed Ghamidi Saab, I have heard quite a bit of. I love Javed Ghamidi Saab. I think he's an amazing asset to this day and age, to the Urdu speaking world, and he is proof and testimony that in this day and age, Pakistan or the Indian subcontinent can produce great scholarship. Engineer Muhammad Ali Mirza, I've not heard too many of his things, to be honest. I think he's definitely much better than, and he's definitely a scholar, much more kind of open-minded than many other scholars, much more kind of, I don't think he's totally neutral, but closer to the neutral thing than other sectarian scholars of the subcontinent. But I haven't really watched too many of his things. Yeah. You're doing some next level question, Mufti. What are your thoughts on celebrating the Mawlid? I've already answered this on so many occasions that, look, I don't personally celebrate the Prophet's birthday or things like this, but I don't condemn people who do it. It doesn't bother me in that sense. Like, I think that it, as a religious thing, I mean, when I say celebrate, I mean as an act of Islam. Is this part of the deen of Islam? I don't think it's part of the deen of Islam, but if a person wants to do it, that's fine. It doesn't, I don't think they're doing anything wrong. So it's as simple as that. What I do find problematic is all the kind of hoo-ha and everything, and blocking roads and doing processions and stuff like this. I don't like that kind of stuff. Yeah. All right. What is going on? Somebody's saying, is Abu Huraira an unreliable narrator? Did Umar beat him? Did Abu Hanifa refuse to narrate from him? That's an interesting thing. I think that Abu Huraira, radiallahu an, I think if we have to be honest about our tradition, I think there needs, personally, I would take a center approach. I disagree with the kind of Shia approach of just throwing Abu Huraira just entirely out the window with all his narrations. I feel that I just feel that that's a bit of that it's a kind of bitter and spiteful, or it may have some kind of spite in that angle. On the other hand, I disagree with the view of certain Sunni scholars in sanctifying Abu Huraira radiallahu an, in saying anything this man, this companion has said must be from the Prophet of God himself. I think that's like, whoa, calm down. Like, I mean, why must it be? I mean, Abu Huraira was a companion of the Prophet, but he came much later on in Islam. He's from the tribe of those. He comes when they come. He stays. He's a poor person. The Prophet caters for him, and he does spend time with the Prophet. But I think it's unquestionable that several narrations from him have a huge question mark on them. Did he have false memories? Did he mix them up? Did people who narrate them from him mix them up? Did he, because he narrates just way too much. That, I mean, it's, if this was any other tradition, we would be critical. Let's face it. Imagine this was Christianity. We would be like imagine Paul just happens to be the one narrating so much from Jesus. And it's like, well, you never even met Jesus. We would be critical. So And then we have proof that several narrations from Abu Huraira are not sound. They are mistakes. You know, there's that famous, I mean, there's so many, but I've quoted many in the past as well. And Imam Malik brings in the Muwatta that Abu Huraira used to go and study with Jewish scholars and he used to take knowledge from them. And I feel that there definitely was some conflation, that he definitely would have mixed up certain things, and then people who took them from him would have mixed them further. Because you have to remember there was like 100 years, if not a bit more, of hadith kind of free floating. And there was no regulations, you know, it was non-regulated hadith, so people were just making things up. So, but that doesn't mean all hadith were made up, but I think it definitely means you need to heighten your sensitivities. That said, I don't agree with kind of, there's a difference in being, in critiquing, evaluating, and just, you know, criticizing for the sake of it. I disagree with that approach of criticizing the companions, even if, and I don't kind of sanctify them in the sense as they're above human, but I've got a video explaining that, and that goes into much more detail on should we criticize the companions. It's definitely worth watching. Yeah, and you know, just another subaltern said, to be honest, my teacher Shia doesn't mind quoting or going through Sunni sources. I think that people need to chill out about some stuff and just educate themselves. I totally agree. I think we need to chill out a bit with this whole, you know, this Sunni Shia kind of hatred thing. I seriously think we need to chill out. There's certain Shia scholars that, you know, you see great ilm in some of them. I haven't listened to that many really, but I've come across a few on YouTube sometimes. People like Kamal Haydari, Maulana Kamal Haydari. I've been like, wow, this guy is... And he's quoting Sunni sources so many times just to show that, look what Sunnis are saying. And he actually challenges a lot of the Shia tradition as well. And so I think we need to step out of this box of trying to say you're not allowed to think and without these blinkers on. You can think however you want. You understand? Somebody's saying about on uthir regarding namaz. Jacinda Mir, can you please talk about rulings on uthir regarding salah? I'm not sure exactly what that question means. I think what it means is in the sense of saying, well, how can you miss salah? If that's the... Chalo is taraf aa jaiye. You know, everybody wants to miss salah, just come on this side. And before we know it, we've got a huge... وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون. Right, so the thing is that, look, salah is between you and God. Okay, there are reasons in which you can combine prayers, for example. There's reasons in which you can shorten prayers. Primarily, what is mentioned is things like travel. But illness, I would argue that illness is definitely a greater reason than just travel. I would argue anyway, but I mean, people may disagree. They may say, "Abe tu kaun hai?" Who the hell are you? But still, I is I. So I would argue that things like that, definitely, there's been scholars of the past, you know, people like Ibn Sirin from the Salaf, Ashhab from the Malikiya. There's been other people who have said that one could combine prayer, even if there was no, I mean, there was a reason, but it wasn't like a need. It was just an inconvenience, and they just combined it. But they said that a person should be wary not to make that into a habit. You know, مَا لَمْ يَتَّخِذْهُ عَادَةً, as they mention in many of the books. But yeah, so I would say that's fine. If people were, you know, if there's going to be inconvenience today, they're going somewhere, they're doing so, they just pray, you know, they can combine the prayers. So yeah, so these are some kind of uthir, and I would say other uthir that you feel inconvenience you. Like, think about it. In the time of the Prophet, people rain. They would say, you know what, it's raining. We're gonna combine the prayers. And today, I mean, in the UK, you know, it rains a lot. So to us, it might not be an inconvenience because we've got systems set up for the rain. But what I'm trying to say is that they just adapted to their circumstances. So that's what we must do, just adapt to our circumstances. I hope that answers some of the questions. Moon sighting calculations. Forget about that. Was Ali bitter about the caliphate, or is that a Shia fabrication? Was he bitter about the caliphate? Shia? I don't think... Oh, you mean bitter towards Abu Bakr and Umar? You see, I think we have to understand that, look, these were human beings at the end of the day, all of them, and they carried human emotions. You know, they were upset with each other at times. Just as, look, think about it like this. You could have a really great friend whose company, you know, you could long for, and, you know, you have great kind of energy together and things like this, but you know, sometimes they could be, you know, you could be a bit restless, and you could get annoyed maybe one day with that friend, but then you know, a few hours later you're fine. These things, the companions were no different. They were normal human beings like that. So they, you know, they got upset with people. They got, you know, there's the story of the incident of Ali radiallahu anh having an argument with Fatima, you know, radiallahu anha, and the Prophet comes and he doesn't say, oh, what the hell, and and the famous incident of Ya Aba Turab, that, oh, Abu Turab, because he kind of got up and he had dust. Ali had dust on his back. He was kind of lying down outside. He was he had a quarrel, like a little fight with his wife Fatima, the daughter of the Prophet. So you see, these things are human things. There's nothing. It happens, you know, it's life. It's not something to be so... And I personally do feel that Ali radiallahu anh was upset. I do feel he was upset with the way the caliphate was. I don't think he was... This is my personal understanding. Now, Sunnis and Shia may disagree with me. They may not. I don't think Ali necessarily felt he should have gone first. I don't think that was his quarrel. I think he was upset that they sidelined him, even though he was from the prominent people. And it does seem that they sidelined, but I don't know whether they sidelined him. I don't think they sidelined him as in it was a collective conscious effort, as in, hey, let's quickly do this, Ali isn't here. It was just, oh, we need to sort this out, let's do this, and Abu Bakr, Umar, and other people started sorting this out. And it is a criticism. I think it is a criticism that people can say that, look, it's a very stoic approach they took. There's a lot of stoicism that, you know, the Prophet has passed away, and, you know, rather than concerning yourself with the Prophet and his burial, and you're more concerned about the political state of affairs. I mean, in their response, they could say, well, maybe they had a very stoic kind of, you know, way of life. That to them, death was a very natural process in which they didn't really, like today, death is a huge tragedy. And the more kind of removed we become from nature, we are more traumatized with the concept of death. I think we as a whole, I put myself in that. I you know, but in fact, in the words of Mir, where he says, "Marte to sab hai Mir, par na is sane. Marte to sab hai Mir, par na is saneha ke saath, ke matam pe teri koi na roya pukar ke." That Mir, everybody dies, but not with such a tragedy. That nobody cried at your funeral. Wow, what a tragedy. Huh? So the thing is that I do see that. I can see why Fatima radiallahu anha would be upset about that, because it's her father and she's thinking, wait a minute, my father, no sooner does he pass away that you're all more preoccupied about the state. And I can see their defense. I'm not saying, you see, I'm trying not to take any sides. I'm just trying to say, I can see this, I can see that. I can see that their response may be just one of a stoic lifestyle. They're just very stoic. You know, it's like you read about the companions, that there's this story that one of the companions, this lady, her child died. The child was ill for like a few weeks, and one day the child dies. And what she does is she just buries the child. The father hasn't even come home. She just buries him. She conducts the little kind of, gets the funeral thing conducted, buries him, prepares food and everything. This is a story, once again, it's transmitted. Right now, I can't recall its authenticity, but it's a story that's well transmitted. And she waits for the husband to come home. And he just comes and he just says, oh, is the child asleep? I can't remember whether it's a girl or boy. Says the child asleep, and she says yes. And the story is that, you know, she has this food prepared for him, and she's all kind of done up, and they have sex, and she has sex with the intent to conceive. And the next day she tells him that, look, yesterday, I didn't want to stress you out, but our child died and I buried him. And then she says, and I did this, and I meaningfully had sex in the hope that we conceive. And in this story, that this is then reaches the Prophet, and the Prophet prays that, you know, may Allah bless their union, and they do have a child. Now, I'm just saying, this story is very, I mean, for this day and age, it's way too, I mean, you know, it would, something like that may drive somebody insane. But you can picture, whether the story is true or not, but you can picture these things happening in a prior, you know, civilization, where stoicism was, you know, this kind of just get on with it in life attitude was the way and the norm. So yeah, so I mean, and I'm not trying to take sides here, I'm just trying to highlight, but that's my thoughts anyway. Do you take calls from respectful kuffar? Kuffardom! Why not? Why not? Huh? Why not? Defending theism, the guy was timed out. He kept copy-pasting the same. All right, boss. All right, doing it. Right, so what's going on? Let's take a look at some of these questions. How do you clarify the spirituality of the Sahaba? Like, for instance, not knowing arrows in their bodies whilst praying. People would leave home for months and come back to many changes. You see, look, some things may be exaggerated and some things may be real. You have to remember as well that sometimes certain wounds, I don't think that, for example, the companions, you know, like there's these stories that they would get shot with arrows and they'd carry on praying. I think in those incidents, if they be true, I don't think it's that they never knew. Oh my God, like I'm praying and I've got an arrow in my eye. That would just be absurd. I think they would have known, but one can enter a deep meditative state, especially if you're trained to enter that. And you have to remember that certain things, the body reacts in certain ways with adrenaline and things like this, that often, in many incidents, for example, people when they're stabbed, if there's a stabbing which is a surprise sudden stabbing, if it's just one, in many cases people don't even realize they're actually stabbed. They actually just, it's until they don't see the blood that they realize, oh my God, I've been stabbed. So in many cases, they just feel a kind of like a sudden, but they just carry on until they check and think, oh my God, I'm bleeding. So it's the body's kind of shock mechanisms that can sustain that, compounded with meditative states. That said, I do believe that there are in many incidents an exaggerative kind of tone is used as well. So, but I don't feel that it's impossible, but I just feel that it may be sometimes kind of glossed over with a very kind of like an exaggerated rhetoric. Cool. All right. I'm an African kuffar. African kuffar. What's that supposed to mean? I can tell if defending theism is trolling. Is playing chess haram? Hell no. Is Allat the same goddess, Athena? Allat, maybe. That a lot of gods, a lot of goddesses kind of, there's an overlap between several kind of gods and goddesses, between the Middle East, Greeks, the Greek culture and things like that. So, right, all right, let's take some other questions. Do you believe Musa alayhi salam split the Red Sea and actually saw God to the point where he passed out? You see, I've got a video explaining the miracles of Moses, that these things were done with, they were natural means. And if you look at the Gulf of Aqaba, I have explained, in fact there's an amazing book called The Exodus by Colin Humphrey. I believe he's from Cambridge, but it's an amazing book where it may be a bit, you know, if you're not into the topic, it might be a bit boring, but I loved it because I was into the topic. He really explains all the miracles with a lot of research from like an anthropological perspective, a scientific perspective, a geological perspective, and it's amazing. So he does explain how the Gulf of Aqaba at the Red Sea, there is a wind that comes up there and it can actually render the sea to split. But it's amazing. So I do feel there were natural means deployed. Right. Do I feel Dhul Qarnayn was Alexander the Great? No, I don't. No, I don't think he was Alexander the Great. No. Right. So let's take, are the footprints of the Prophet Abraham real? Right. No, I don't think we have any footprints that are authentic from the Prophet Abraham. I think people may think we do. I don't think we do, unless they're geologically analyzed, which I doubt it. Right. If Jahannam is the worst of people, what about good disbelievers? You know, people, what are your thoughts on this? I want to share with you that I want to speak about artistic fluidity regarding the description of the afterlife, that a morphosis of eschatology. What do I mean by that? Look, what I mean by that is, it appears that, you see, what we do understand is that the world does not end with death, as in life in and of it, with a capital L, does not end in and of itself with life. This is what we believe, that there is continuity. How is that continuity manifested? How what does it look like? This, the response to that, what we get in a kind of picturesque form of Jannah gardens and so on, and all this kind of stuff, and fire and all these things. This is just symbolic in my understanding. Now, even though people do take it literally, of course, but I want to explain this, that look, let's go back in time. Yeah. Now, it's interesting that the Jewish people, the Israelites, they didn't have a concept of the afterlife. Okay, they were told nothing about the afterlife. there's some kind of indications that life doesn't stop, but there's no description at all. And then you have other mythologies, like the Greek mythology, which has this kind of Olympian gods and the Titans and all these people. And you've got people like Zeus, and you've got Apollo, you've got Hades. Now, Hades becomes kind of the representative god of the underworld. The underworld is where people would pass into. You know, they would go there, there would be, Charon that would kind of take them across on the boat through the river Styx, and you would enter into Hades, and once in Hades you couldn't really escape, and you had to pay the boatman for, the coin, and hence they would put a coin on the eyes or under the tongue. But this concept, now you've got this mythology, but you've got this understanding of Hades. Now Hades also, although he was the person, the underworld itself starts to become known by the name of the person and becomes Hades. This Greek mythological culture of the afterlife is then inherited by the Romans, who then kind of Romanize it. And they still have this concept of Hades. So in the early Christian era, so when Jesus is there and the Gospels are alleging that, let's say this is what Jesus has said, they transmit the afterlife, they call it Hades. Now, even though in many translations now they will say hell instead of Hades. But if you check, I mean, there's several translations of the Bible, English translations. I was checking up, one of them at least brought it 8 times, another one 10 times, another version of the Bible brought it a few more, and some less, and others substituted it now with the word hell, or in recent times with the word hell. But if you check that the early kind of transmissions, this is how they would transmit it. So, for example, many famous verses of where Jesus is apparently, where he's addressing Peter, that Peter, you are my rock. And Peter is, whether it's Pedro or Patria or whatever, however you want it comes from. In fact, the Urdu word patar, it's all linked because they're Indo-European languages, that you are my rock. And upon this rock I will build my church, and Hades will not be able to overcome you. That the dark underworld. And when Jesus is saying to Capernaum that, do you think you will go to heaven? You see, now if the underworld is below, where would the positive opposite be? It would be above. And hence in Christianity, heavens are the heavens above. Now we say heaven in English, but you see, in Arabic we don't say samawat, the heavens. We say Jannah, which is not the heavens. So because Hades was the underworld, so the opposite, cielo, the sky, the heavens above, became the opposite. So when Jesus is saying to Capernaum, do you think you will go to the heavens? Rather, you will go to Hades, that you'll go below. Now, it's interesting that Jesus then uses this term Gehenna, or Gehenna, which is the valley of the Hinnom people. And there was this alleged fire that used to burn there, and they used to burn all kinds of waste there. And Jesus says that, these people, they're wretched, they will go to Gehenna, the fire. Then this narrative of up and below and Hades, and this fire part is then picked on. It is the baton is kind of passed on to the Arabs, the Muslims. And it's interesting, they live in a desert with the scorching heat. So fire, this narrative of Jahannam, which, by the way, prior to Jesus, Jahannam was never a thing. So Jesus introduces the narrative of the fire. It is then picked up and further expanded on because of the kind of context of the desert. And then what is the opposite? Because with Hades, down below it was above, but with fire, the opposite was an oasis, a garden. And Jannah in Arabic just means a garden. It doesn't mean the heavens, it means a garden. Jannat. So you see, the afterlife, which is called this kind of eschatology, covering the studying of this kind of afterlife, the akhirah. Eschatology is a kind of illustration in fluidity. It's in motion. It continues to kind of develop with the day and age. And if anything, it was meant to be symbolic, in my understanding. I mean, I know many people do take it literally, but if it was meant to be literal, I feel that there would have been consistency right throughout the traditions, especially the Jewish people and then the Christians, although the Christians did accept this later on because of Jesus saying it, but the Jewish Bible and things like this and other traditions. So that's some food for thought. I don't know, you don't need to right, so I don't, somebody's saying something about that quote is from, I don't know, but these are my kind of thoughts on it. I've got some videos if you want to check them out. Cool. But right, so, and on that, if just before I finish, if you do check and it doesn't say Hades in a lot of these things, that's because of that translation. So a lot of the people then substituted it with the term hell. So you have to kind of keep that into consideration, and you check variant kind of translations of the Bible. Cool, people. With that, let's move on. What is going on? What is going on, people? Right, on that note, shall we discuss? Shall we get controversial? Not like I've never been controversial before. People, there was a tweet, I think it was a tweet, or unless it was a Facebook post, but it was shared by Dr. Shadi Al-Masri, rather. Now, Dr. Shadi Al-Masri, the real Slim Shady, so you're sharing this post from this lady. It was a viral kind of post where she was speaking about the porn site Pornhub. I think it was Pornhub, or she meant, let me act like all naive. Is it what's the word for this? But she was saying that the statistics showed that there was a particular video that had been kind of searched one of the top 5 or top 10 or something, and it's this video of some woman who's kind of, she describes it for field research purposes. We'll all just take a 5-minute break. Everybody's back like all refreshed and they're all like really relaxed. So she's saying that this video had some woman gagged, as in she was part of the, not like forcefully gagged, but as in she was gagged in the video, and she had some kind of sex device at work. Right, and I think maybe her hands and feet were tied or something, I don't know, but it's something like, so her point was that porn is simply violence against women. So the interesting thing here was not so much her quote, but it was the kind of dialogue that or the discussions that ensued when Dr. Shadi Al-Masri shared this. Now, you see, there's one thing condemning things like, because I made a comment on there as well, and people said that, look, you know, oh my God, Mufti, this is, you know, why are you saying this to Dr. Shadi Al-Masri and so on and so forth. I said that, look, this may be depraved, like this can be depraved, fine, but how, in all honesty, I don't understand how certain people who hold on to a particular kind of dogma can preach sexual ethics? How? Like people who promote or who advocate is a better word, and support the validity of child marriages. How? I feel they're in no position to condemn other people on things like saying, well, oh, you know, this, because what the point of that, him sharing that, was the West is filthy and they've got porn and all of this kind of stuff. Well, let's be honest. Porn, if you want to do the statistical searches on it, it is the Muslim countries that are actually, you know, they're absorbed in pornography. Now, in fact, you know, the statistics speak for themselves. You can actually check it out on Google, what country does what search, and it actually shows. Now, but if you want to, like, let's say, fair enough, if people feel that that's depraved, and that's fine, they can say that, but do such people get the right to seriously preach sexual ethics, who say that not only is it okay and valid to marry a 7-year-old girl or a 9-year-old girl and have penetrative sex with her, they feel that that's something that they thrust into the Prophet of God. They say the Prophet of God did that because God asked him to do it. I mean, how insulting is that to our Prophet? So ridiculous, so absurd. And how do these people get... So I feel that there is no place for people in this society that speak for the validity of child marriages, that they have no place in this modern society. And they definitely have no podium to speak on sexual ethics. And in all honesty, let's be honest, what kind of ethics are they talking about? These people preach of an afterlife where there will just be sexual orgies with countless virgins and drinking alcohol. You know, I mean, how, if that's what we're going towards anyway, what difference does it make if people are doing that here? I mean, if that's what you know, like, this is, am I wrong in saying that? Is this not what people are preaching anyway? That, look, don't worry, when you get there, you're going to have so many young virgins to just sleep with all the time. So if that is what we're promoting, you know, wahan kare to halal hai, yahan kare to haram hai. What kind of ethics is that? You know, this is horrible, 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 but boy, just wait till once you're dead. Oof, then we're going to be drowning in it. It's like, yaar, what kind of game is this? ये कौन सी game खेल रहे हैं यार? Either we're saying this whole thing is, you know, like disgusting, or we're saying, no, it's awesome in the afterlife. You know, we're going to be, oh my God, there's going to be ever erect penises, and there's going to be, you know, all this kind of stuff. If we're going to say this, then what are, you know, over here, why are we preaching on such a high horse? So I just feel that this, you know, that there is no consistency, and this is what shows as hypocrisy in the faith. That, look, be real, like, be consistent, be kind of, you know, if you wanna preach certain kind of sexual ethics, then okay, condemn child marriages. You know, don't disrespect the Prophet by trying to say he married a little girl. That's disgusting. And then, you know, if you're gonna preach just sexual orgies in heaven, then, you know, then it sounds ridiculous trying to say they're so evil on earth. Let's be honest. You know, if you're just enticing somebody, oof, marne ke baad, ba'd al-maut. Then it's only natural that people are going to want them here as well. So, look, I did comment on that, and people were like, oh, Mufti. But I said, I'm sorry, I find people with these double standards have no position to preach. This is a free world, yeah, and people have rights, and I accept that there is exploitation and this needs to be addressed. I accept that there's sexual exploitation, commercial exploitation, industrial exploitation, all kinds of exploitation. And these issues need to be addressed. I accept that. But at the same time, people have freedoms as well to make choices. Now, but what I'm saying is that if you want to get on such a high horse, then you shouldn't carry a baggage, a bloody ton load of inconsistencies, especially ones which disrespect our Prophet. So that's, I wanted to kind of say that since I was reminded. Oh, Inaya had asked, am I Aquarian? I'm actually Capricorn. This month was my birthday. People. Yeah. So, right. Not that I believe in horoscopes and things, but I do accept that it is interesting that sometimes people of a certain star sign have certain kind of characteristics. I have explained previously that I did think that it may be, I'm just throwing this out there. It may be that if consciousness, which is the Ruh, is something which is out there, and I've got this in more discussion on my kind of New Year's Monday night. If consciousness, which is the Ruh, is more out there, and there's like a social collective consciousness, and we tap into it, it kind of like, as we're using the brain, let's say it's at a quantum level, but we kind of tap into consciousness as a device that kind of picks up consciousness, like let's say like a handheld device. I was thinking what could be, if consciousness is in the cosmos, then as a theory, it may be that when we were born, the part of the cosmos that was nearer to the earth, maybe that had some impact on the personality of the Ruh that we received. If this is how, I'm just thinking, I'm just putting that out there. I'm not saying that's correct. It just got me speculating once, thinking, that would be interesting if that is how, because some of the things, I don't believe in, like that doesn't mean that horoscope readings and things like this are correct, because a lot of them are just really Barnum statements. But I found certain things intriguing, like the Chinese zodiac calendars of like when you were born and what the year of what animal you were born in and the characteristics. And it was really fascinating because a bunch of us kind of did this for a laugh. I wasn't the one doing it. And they went through everybody in my extended family. Like siblings, nephews, nieces, extended people, and everybody that we kind of knew. And it was really fascinating that the readings, not like 100% match, but they were so above probability that I was just like, wow. And that got me actually thinking that, could it be that because I do believe that the Ruh and consciousness is kind of out there, maybe in the cosmos, and we kind of tap into it. If that be the case, could it be that the part of the cosmos nearer to the earth when you were born, in maybe even in a small way, but had a slight edge on your personality? Just food for thought. But I don't believe in and I would condemn any kind of superstition around this, like in saying, oh, good luck, bad luck, that kind of stuff. I think that is haram because it does, it ruins lives, things like that. Right, so, right, okay, let's move on to, right, shall we... Whoa, people, shall we talk about our beloved Sheikh Asrar G? Right, just go into that. And people, by the way, those of you that haven't subscribed, you naughty, you teasing me? Subscribe, man, subscribe. You know something, I get so many people watching my Monday nights, and yet, Harami Saleh. They don't ever like the YouTube And you know what? I have to say, there's one guy, I don't know who he is, who consistently, every single video, dislikes it. I want to say, all of you can sod off. I want to know, I'm more intrigued by the consistency of this guy. There's always one dislike. And I'm like, God, I'm so intrigued. Ke wafa jinne hogi, unhe hogi. That whosoever will have loyalty, they will have loyalty. हमें तो देखना है तू बेवफा कहाँ तक है. I want to see how consistent is this guy's disloyalty to me. Yeah, all I'm saying is this hater, my message is going out to the unique hater. Don't leave my side, you know, this one. Yeah, dostati. Speaking about dostati, and it brings us on to our beloved Allah, Allah, Allah. My beloved Sheikh Asrar Rashid Saab, the a key promoter of the Rashidiyah. Here he is in the flesh. He has made an amazing discovery, which is to do with where Ya'juj and
Oh my God! Wow! Oh my God!
So we have some good news that Sheikh Asrar has discovered with the Ya'juj and Ma'juj, the Gog and Magog, have been hiding from mankind. And here is this picture, although the quality isn't, but coming to think of it, it looks like Sheikh Asrar is blowing a kiss, and mwah, we love you too, yaar. Brotherly, agape, people, agape, brotherly love, brotherly love. So let me see, I've got a different picture of Sheikh Asrar here. Doing it. This is it, Sheikh. You're doing it, you're doing it. But why is it that Sheikh Asrar always looks a bit like, he's always looks quite angry, a bit like upset? Yeah? You want to talk about it, bro? What's going on, bro? What's going on? Let's open up the brandy. Toba, toba, toba. Astaghfir, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. So anyway, people, I'm going to, lo and behold, Ya'juj and Ma'juj have been discovered by Sheikh Asrar, who's brought it to our attention. These mountains that you see, these mountains are in Kyrgyzstan, which is like central kind of Asia. In Kyrgyzstan, you see these three mountains, the centerpiece right here. This centerpiece, people, Sheikh Asrar, by help of some of the people that have assisted him, has come to realize that this is actually where Ya'juj and Ma'juj are. And that is by help of the detailed, fascinating, highly specific and incredibly intriguing map that Sheikh Asrar has got hold of, which which quite neatly pointed out that, well, here they are, Ya'juj and Ma'juj. There they are, Ya'juj, Ma'juj. Blimey! And then Sheikh Asrar says, you know, and this is a map, an amazing map. I think from the Ottoman era, maybe. And he says, you know, I've actually got a copy of this myself. And all you have to really do is just click save. But Sheikh Asrar makes it sound so, you know, and I've actually got a copy of this myself. Yeah, I have. Yes, absolutely. And you can see this Google document right here. I've actually got a copy of that. Yeah, thank you. Acha, you mean the Google the Google one, the one that you just press save and I actually have a copy of that. Yes, I do. I do. Wow, Sheikh Asrar, you gotta love the genuine, the ikhlas of the ikhlas with the Sheikh Asrar. So Sheikh Asrar finding this detailed map which leaves Google Maps to shame. And as you can see here, it says As-Sin. So anybody that was confused, China is right here, people. We found it. This is the Balkh, which is probably part of ancient Afghanistan and parts of Iran. Bukhara, which is part of Uzbekistan. And here it says Uzbekistan, people. And just in case you're wondering, well, what else could there be? What else could there be? Blimey. It says Ya'juj and Ma'juj, and there's an arrow pointing right down over here. You're like, where the hell are Ya'juj and Ma'juj? Oh, there they are. It says so right on the map. Oh, honestly, I really do.
Oh my God! Wow! Oh my God!
All right, people, I honestly think, this is my thoughts, yeah? I think that Sheikh Asrar genuinely is a bit kind of, I feel that he's, I don't know, is he confused, do you think, about, do you think like he just doesn't know, like, what should he be doing, what should he be really, like, I don't get it, like, what? What is going on? Alright, Jacinda Mir, you're doing it with the super stickers. And skipping the ablution altogether. Okay, I'll come to your question, Jacinda. Un momento. Right, so, but I just feel that, honestly, I feel that Sheikh Asrar definitely has talent. Definitely. Yaar. ये दोस्ती हम नहीं भूलेंगे. Right. Oh, sorry, is it तोड़ेंगे? Oh, yaar, गलती है. I'm such a poor rawi when it comes to Bollywood songs. So, he definitely has talent, but what is going on with Sheikh Asrar? He was actually saying, you know what, I'll arrange a visit to Kyrgyzstan if people are interested and they go hiking. We can go and see the mountains, and in them, because they've got iron ores, that means like it's a natural resource for iron. Obviously, this is the iron where, you know, where Dhul Qarnayn said, that helped me, you know, that helped me with iron and things like this. And this is where he kind of melted the whole iron supply and poured it here and built a barrier. And he says this is some of the tallest mountains in the world. And as you can see, there's a donkey going up there. I thought, huh? Donkey going up one of the tallest mountains. I thought, acha, wo samjhe hain humka. You know, it's like, God, I don't know, you know, because I'm genuinely concerned that I think, yaar, ye Sheikh Asrar ko ho ka gaya hai, you know. So I had to comment on that. So in brief, do I feel that inside the mountain, as Sheikh Asrar is saying, we don't know what's inside the mountain? Obviously, it's Ya'juj and Ma'juj, you know, these creatures. Do I feel he's legit about that? As in, do I feel that's correct? do we even need to answer that? Of course not. Right, somebody, Muhammad Akbar has asked a question. Muhammad, you're doing it with the super stickers, right? About about Nike. I'll come on to that. Okay, I'll come on to that in just a moment. So, right, so I just want to say that, look, people, the Ya'juj and Ma'juj are not inside this bloody mountain, okay? So if you're going to Kyrgyzstan, right, then I'm sure it's going to be helpful for the Kyrgyzstan tourism industry, but it's unfortunately not these kind of apocalyptic creatures hiding inside. So just unfortunately, you know, afsos hota hai munna. But anyway, but all still my heartfelt wishes and thoughts are always with my beloved Sheikh Asrar. Mwah! Love you, yar. So, okay, right, now let's move on. So I've been asked a question, first of all, by Jacinda, who'd said about if there was certain difficulty in performing wudhu, then you can resort to Tayamum. Okay, people, Tayamum is the alternative for wudhu. Now, I know in the Hanafi madhab, doing Tayamum is like borderline death. Like you're about to die, and then you do... Tayamum is simply like if... right, I haven't got anything here, but... Okay, let's say this thing here. It could be a pebble, as far as I'm concerned. Let's say this was a rock, so, or a stone. Now you just... Obviously, you guys can't see it anymore. I'll put it there. Alright! So you can touch it, and then the dust doesn't have to carry on. You can wipe it off, right? So you just wipe over the face, you touch it again, and you go over the arms like that. And you go over. Tayammum done. And Imam Malik in the Muwatta said that a person with wudu is not more pure than a person with tayammum, because both have come to us through scripture. Okay, so... a person can do tayammum, and I know the Malikis are criticized sometimes for, and the Moroccans today are criticized sometimes for being, other people say we're too lenient, the Malikis, we're too lenient on tayammum. I disagree. I mean, it's our view. So you'll see if you visit Morocco, for example, most masjids have stones in there. And you can just do tayammum. And a lot of people, in fact, many people who get a bit old, and they're not even so old, but they get a bit old where they struggle a bit to kind of reach their feet, like in washing, they just do tayammum. And it's and this is why some of the other schools criticize the Malikiyah, but I support it. I say tayammum is an option when there's inconvenience, and you can use it, and it does. I do go with the classical opinion of certain scholars that it yarfa'ul khabath, that it is an entire purity. It's a ritual purity. I do have a more detailed video on that. You can check that out. Right, now Muhammad Akbar had asked a question about he'd asked a question about Dawaman and Nike products, because this is the product is a goddess of victory, and is it haram to wear this? Because there's some kind of mythological history with the term Nike or Nike, or however they want to say it, as being some kind of mythological goddess ages ago, as in millennia ago. Now, this is ridiculous, people. It's ridiculous. You know, that is just so silly. Because look, so many things in Islam, they haven't come to us through, like, not everything is revealed, for God's sake. Things come through other means. How do you think, like, so many, like the months, or the names of the months, or in English, like the names of the days, they're named after the gods. And whether it's named after Mars, or whether it's named after different planets, but these planets were deemed gods by the Greeks and by the Romans. And then you get that, and you know, they go through Monday for Mars, and this carries through different traditions as well. When they say Mangal is Mars, right? So and they saw certain things as auspicious, as good luck and harbingers of good luck or bad luck, but it doesn't mean that for us today. You know, we don't need to worry about, oh my God, people used to think, you know, this day was they call this a particular day because it was a good luck day or a bad luck day. Like, look, in Arabic, they call rainbows qawsu qazah, the bow of Qazah. Qazah was one of the false deities, one of the false gods. And in fact, they claim a hadith that the Prophet said, oh, don't call it Qaws Qazah, call it Qawsullah, call it the Qaws of God, the bow of God. But they still call, maybe that was to the new Muslims in the time who still worshipped Qazah, so he was trying to distance them from that worship. But today, obviously, it doesn't make a difference to us. You know, we call it in Arabic today Qaws Qazah. It makes no difference. We're not going to start going, oh my God, let's worship Qazah. That'd be ridiculous. You know, so I think we need to chill out with all the insecurities. You know, why do we act like our faith is so weak? Like, it's like Kabayt al-Ankabut. It's a spider's web that if you do anything, it disappears. Just relax. Relájate. Tranquilo. Cálmate. So, I would say that, right, so that's not, so it's all fine, right? It's nothing. Jacinda is saying that I didn't answer a question. Did I not answer a question? Can someone write? He answered the question I didn't even ask. Huh? Yeah. Story of my life. People ask me one thing, I answer something else. They're like, well, I do, huh? I do. No. Uh-oh. Wrong place to say that. Let me see. Let me go back up and check. Un momento. Here it is. She says, by uthir, I mean when someone is sick and can't keep the ablution, so the ruling on skipping the ablution altogether, I can't even keep it for one salah. Oh, right, yes. So, okay. Sorry. What this question is to do with what they call, in a lot of the fiqh books, it falls under salas. So, incontinence. So sometimes, even though this may not be incontinence, but it may be, it's similar. So it falls under that. So you have flatulence, you have incontinence, where people sometimes, they can't hold their urine, or they can't sometimes hold gas and things like this. Or it may be something else, but this is the common one that they give always as an example in the fiqh books. So under certain circumstances, if a person for some reason cannot hold their wudhu, what they are simply obligated and obliged to do is only do one wudhu at the beginning of prayer time. So let's say it's now Maghrib time, I do one wudhu. Now that wudhu will not break by that contingency during the entire prayer time. If, you know, so it's a different thing if I choose to break it in a different way. Like, let's say, I don't know, like somebody wanted to do something else and intentionally, but that particular, so if a person had, let's say, gas and they can't hold the gas and they're always, you know, they're suffering from that problem. But if that is the case, now once they've done one wudu for that salah, that gas problem would not violate their wudu. So this is what they call hal al-mustankah. In many of the Maliki fiqh books, they call it mustankah. Other madhabs may not call it you know, mustankah, but the Malikiya call it mustankah. So in this case, the person just does one wudu. They all agree on the ruling. And what they do is they perform their salah. If they break it by a different means, that's fine, they can redo it, but that particular means would not violate the wudu. And each salah time they just repeat one wudu, and they keep doing this as long as they have their issue, even if it's lifelong. Okay, or if it's chronic, they can do this chronically. Okay, and if it's so this is what I hope that answers the question. All right, Muhammad Akbar, you're doing it, you're doing it. What do you think about the third temple prophecy of the Jews awaiting Dajjal, their Messiah, and the Illuminati one eye for Dajjal al-Masih? You see, Bakhtavar says, yaar, mooche to next level hai aapke. Allah, Allah, Bakhtavar Siddiqui. In the words of Mir Taqi Mir, he says, Hale bad guftani nahi mera. That my condition, this bad condition, is not worth expressing. Hale bad guftani nahi mera. Tumne poocha to meharbani thi. Right, so, you know, Akbar, the thing is, you know, with this whole Dajjalul Masih, I don't believe that there's going to be a person Messiah, false Messiah, or the coming of Jesus and things like this. And I've got a detailed video on that called a prelude to why there is no second coming in Islam. Now, the Dajjal, I've explained in the past, according to Islamic sources, is either wrongly attributed to the Prophet, the term, the word, as in not to the Prophet but to his hadith, or it simply is referring to Satan, because Dajjal means the deceiver, or it's referring to a time that will come, like there's a hadith that a time will come that every prophet warned his people. I feel that Dajjal, that deception, the great deceiving phenomenon, is not a person, but it will be what we're actually embarking on, where reality, where the virtual and the real become indiscernible and indistinguishable. So, and I think we are already on the beginning of that era, where now our social media lives are more meaningful to us, to many people, than their actual lives. And this is why I tell people that, look, by all means, do be a part of social media. Go on there, share things, network, participate. But make sure that your real lives carry, if possibly, more meaning, if not an equal amount. But make sure that your real lives are meaningful to you, because this is a problem. And I feel in the coming decade or two, the virtual will completely envelop us, and I don't know what it will be like at that time. But yeah. Bakhtavar says, ye Dajjal kab aa raha hai yaar? Mujhe bata ke aayega kya? I've got no idea. When I get a text message, I'll let you know. So Akbar, I don't buy into this whole the Dajjalic thing, the Illuminati one eye thing. I think the Illuminati thing is kind of all hyped up, although there may be some truth to these kind of secret societies, but I think they're hyped up a bit too much. Istabarrak. Somebody, Black Prince is asking, what is istabarrak? I don't know what do you mean by istabarrak? Istabrak? I'm not sure what you're trying to say. Is that from the word barak, as in lightning, or from barak, from baraka, or? Because obviously I can't see the Arabic, I can just see what you've written in English. Right, people, you know what? We've gone on so long today. I'm going to have to wrap this up. I really wanted to go over Ibn Abi Zayd's kind of introduction to... Never even got to do that. Somebody said, your views are similar to Ghamidi Saab. What do you have to say about that? I love Ghamidi Saab. I have watched several small clips of Ghamidi Saab, and I've loved the fact that he speaks from the voice of reason. Same thing in Arabic with Dr. Adnan Ibrahim, with Ustad Shahrur. There are many of these people who kind of echo the voice of reason. But yeah, so I'm really proud of people like that. I don't think I think in some ways my views will still be a bit different. अब क्या करें? जनता का demand है, जनता का demand. The thing is that obviously I am born and raised here in Birmingham, UK, people. So that's going to have some impact on my life, naturally, on the way I view things. So in some things, you might think, Ghamidi Saab, I don't know, but maybe he doesn't say certain things which I say. And plus, I have the Maliki madhab to support me, you see. So I openly say that the hudud ought to change in this day and age, as the Maliki scholars have said. I openly say the inheritance things. Maybe Ghamidi Saab also says that. I've openly denied that there is no such thing as the evil eye. I don't think, I think Ghamidi Saab has denied most of it, but he said that maybe there's some reality to some of it, which I've denied and said it's just superstition and nonsense. He does deny things like black magic, jinn possessions, demonic possessions. He also has a very welcoming perspective on life. He's very, he kind of oozes a culture of welcoming and of kind of like compassion and tolerance, which I love. I mean, I try to do things like that as well. But yeah, so I totally admire Sheikh Ahmadi Saab. I think he's a legend in that sense. I would love to. I have spoken to some of the people who work very closely with him. I will, inshallah, I'm hoping to be able to have a dialogue with him at some point in the near future. Right, guys, I'm gonna wrap this up. Just one thing before we wrap up. Are artificial intelligence accountable on the day of judgment? You know, this is interesting. I'll tell you why. Because it got me thinking once that there was this clip where these people were kind of beating up this little robot. And everybody was kind of like, oh my God, what are you guys doing? And it was interesting that it evoked a kind of empathic, and it invoked empathy in the viewers. And I found that amazing, that what if, you see, because right now we're in a day and age of sentience, of feeling. So like, you know, with Jeremy Bentham and these people, they've said that it's not about whether creatures have a soul. It's about whether they feel things and if they feel pain. So it became about feelings. And we are in that age of feelings. It's about, is there suffering? The hypothesis is, what if the next age is not about feelings and sentience, but what if it's about information? Like DNA. That, does it contain information? Does it hold information? And you might think this is absurd now, but I'm sure if we went back 500-600 years ago and you said, oh, it's not about whether it has a soul, ensoulment, it's about whether it has feelings, you know, people may have laughed at you. But I just find that fascinating. What if the future age is about information? Then it would be about, it's not whether it has emotions, but whether it has information. That would be intriguing, huh? Right, so last question, people. I want to say as well that I've been asked this question. It was, what is it? Sam Haq has asked me that, look, can I give some few words on advice towards learning? If you want to learn something and things like this, how should you do it? Like a topic, or you want to research or increase your... Look, some quick words. People learning, this is my advice, that it must take place as a proactive step. You know, a lot of my learning, a lot of it, is actually not through one book. Like, you know, sometimes I speak about things and people will say, oh, can you recommend a book on this topic? Like when I spoke on the Petra thing, or when I spoke on demonic possessions, or when I spoke on magic, or on the second coming of Jesus, or when I spoke on many things, on Bukhari Gate, or I spoke on all these kind of things. People will say, oh, can you tell me a book to read? Like, they assume that, like, let's say this is a book here. They assume that this book will have, like, it will have all the answers. Like, I just need to read this book passively, and I will then learn. And I'm telling you, that's not how I learn anyway. I seldom go through, like when I'm learning a topic, go through a book cover to cover. Seldom. What I do is I just research the hell out of stuff, and it's active learning. So what I'll do is, like, I'll begin with, like, I want to learn about something. I don't know. Like, let's say I want to learn about, let's say I want to learn about psychology. I don't know about psychology. I want to learn about it. So I'll begin by just actually searching what is psychology. And I'll watch an introduction. I'll read something basic. It may not have accurate information in it. I might just read Wikipedia. And it'll say, like, oh, this splits off into different fields. It splits into psychodynamics. I'll be like, oh, what's psychodynamics? I'll click that. Oh, psychodynamics is this field that deals with the kind of unconscious elements. It's been pioneered by people like Freud. I'll be like, oh, who's Freud? I'll go into that. Now also, Freud, he's this pioneering figure who appears in the 18th, 19th century. He's somebody who kind of puts forward the whole concept of the unconscious. He speaks about the ego, the id. Oh, what's the id? And I'll start reading the id. Oh, how does this... So is the id... is the id the dominant kind of consciousness that we... Let me Google this. Is this... what are these articles saying? What's this chat saying? Freud seems to be, you know, there seems to be a bit of an overlap. Did he take some of his ideas from hypnosis? Let me research this. Oh, what does Jung, who's Jung? Oh, he says, Carl Jung says this. Oh, right. How does Carl Jungian psychoanalysis differ from Freudian? Right, okay. What is this shadow? And I just search and search and search the hell out of stuff. And then that's how I just learn. And I'll like watch things, then I'll be like, oh, that's fascinating. Listen to a whole lecture based on this, and I'll go through something on YouTube, and then I'll find some professors and start reading up on some of their things, go through some audiobooks, and meanwhile, and I'll have like 30 pages open on my Google Chrome of different things and I'll go on Scribd and I'll search what was this or what was, and I'll find certain articles and I'll just read small articles and then I'll go off on another little search and I'm telling you, you know, this way of learning, in 2 weeks, you will know more than people who've just read like 3-4 books from cover to cover, or people that have even studied that topic for like maybe 2 years, but just passively studied it. I honestly feel that, because it's the proactive kind of curiosity, the inconquerable, unquenchable thirst that you bring to the table. It opens pathways, or as our in the earlier meme he said, the opening. Said the back opening, you know, the back opening. So this one, top opening, you know, cognitive opening. So people, somebody said, Inaya said, Carl Jung over that weirdo Freud. I actually am a fan of Freud, I won't lie. Freud was amazing, you know, in some of these things. And people say, you know, he said, well, everything is about sex, and they say, you know, and the irony is they will say, oh, what a load of beep, and that will just prove Freud's point. You know, it's amazing, isn't it? Like, I don't know. I mean, are not many things driven sexually at a subconscious level? Maybe he exaggerated certain things. It's like Oscar Wilde said, you know, he said, everything in this world is about sex. Except sex, of course, which is about power. But I think that, I don't know, I find, I do find Freud fascinating, you know, and some of the things he discovered and he said, but I think we say them as well in our tradition, but there's no harm in taking from other people's traditions. yeah, so we kind of have this understanding of the ruh and the nafs and the aql and things like this as well. So, and some people, some Muslim ulama consider them all synonymous, and I would agree that, I mean, as in consciousness and the spirit and the kind of like cognition and things like desires and they're kind of linked in that sense. But yeah, cool people. In that, I'm going to wrap this. यार आजकल market में पौधीना I still can't get over that, you know, that you see, over that, because in our lingo, I know it's going to sound dumb, but we call it pudna, right? In Mirpuri, they call it pudna. And I just feel that that sounds so much better than saying pudina. यार ये पुदीना कहाँ है यार he says कौन यार अच्छा 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 वो guys, you know what, let's call it a wrap, man. It's been awesome. Much love for hanging out all the way through. Really appreciate all your support, your love. Keep learning, people. Keep your learning going strong, but at the same time, do try to you know, I get a lot of messages from people that are going, unfortunately, through depression. Try not to wear labels. Don't think I'm depressed. Like, I know these things are difficult, but try to preoccupy yourself with life. Okay, try to see the positivity around you, and it will shine through. I'm telling you, it's a mindset that is reflected. And you know, people ask me sometimes about things like tawakkul. I want to speak about this more maybe next week, but have a bit of that tawakkul, but do your thing as well. That, look, people think, you know, oh, it's just, you know, oh my God, it's, you know, everything is like, it's just chaotic then, what you're doing, or these risks that you're taking. This is especially if people are being entrepreneurial or enterprising or business. I would say that, look, if it feels right to you, do it. And know that, look, the Lord will give you much more. You understand? And you sometimes have to have that trust. And it comes flooding, I'm telling you. But obviously you have to think, you know, as well, look before you leap. But then you feel that, you know, that Allah, inna Allah ma'ana, that indeed God is with us. People, with that, have an awesome night wherever you are. Take very good care of yourselves. Remember me in a kind dua. May Allah keep you all smiling. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channels, then what on earth are you waiting for? On with it. Over and out, folks.